percent of Americans who identify with any religion has been on the decline.
People are very much less invested in the church.
There's one huge topic that's pushed them away from the church, the LGBTQ plus community.
Homophobia's got to go!
It's grown full of angry activists, soundbite slogans, and seemingly no common ground.
One of the biggest issues the church is wrestling with in our modern times is the issue of human sexuality, particularly around the LGBTQ community. Well, did you know that within our church family, once a month, there's a group of folks who identify this way, who are radically committed to following Jesus and holding to the historic Orthodox position around human sexuality, who want to do life together and provide support and encouragement. This group is called The Table, and what God is doing among them is absolutely beautiful.
I often wonder what the LGBTQ community will receive if they come knocking on the doors of a church. Would they be led into the presence of God, or would they be asked to leave? I was attracted to women from a very young age. I was raised in the church, and so growing up with same-sex attraction had a lot of difficulties. You don't always struggle with your sexuality, but it is by far the hardest battle that I walk through. For a long time, I was able to just hide my sexuality and relationships. At the end of the day, I was far from God. Before I had given my life back to the Lord, I was dating a girl, and I remember I was just feeling so much conviction. I said to the Lord, this is what I want. I'm tired of feeling bad about it. I'm going to stop talking to you. And I remember so vividly, I felt in the spirit just a veil come across me. And I just went to sleep. Like I hadn't just separated myself from like my father. And so years later, after he had come back into my life, I remember asking the Lord, Father, like I brought a veil of separation between us. What does that mean to our relationship now? And I remember so specifically that he said, you know, you felt that veil in the spirit, but we were on the same side because he had never left. Even after coming back to the Lord, the dichotomy of what I was being told from various churches is very hard to wrap my head around. When I was first trying to find like a cohesive understanding of sexuality in the Bible, allowing the Lord to kind of walk through that with me and to show me why it's not only possible, but that it's deeply satisfying to live a life that is consecrated to the Lord. I remember when I got invited to the table. As I was reading this email, I just began to weep because for the first time in my church context, instead of feeling like a token gay person in the church that was leading this conversation and studying the scriptures, suddenly I was part of a church that said, not only do we recognize that there's people in this church with this story, but we are loving and like there's like place for you. We got closer to the actual table date. And so all of those anxieties, anxious thoughts were swirling around. But then we came together and there's this table just set before us. And everyone was so kind. And we were just celebrating like that we came together and we could see each other's faces and say, oh, we have similar stories. It is at this hour the most crucial time to be a community in a church that not only has a context for this conversation, but also the tools around this conversation to allow people to be open with us.
As a part of this year's Living the Liturgy offering, we want to resource this community to further reach out and provide hope and community to those who are seeking to find answers for their faith and sexuality, and to provide world-class resources to bring clarity and compassion on this challenging issue. We invite you to join us for Living the Liturgy so that we can resource this community in our church and be a voice of hope, love, and grace to the city around us.